Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University and Infidel, issue number 3. Whew. Okay, so we saw that Aisha went and shoved her mother-in-law, Leslie, and the daughter, Chris, down the steps. Yeah, not looking so good. All right, her stepdaughter shoved them down the stairs. Well, it turns out somebody in, what was it, 3A, I think it is? It's funny how they, like, this is generally people who live in apartments. It's like, oh yeah, 2B just said such and such. 3A was just saying such and such about you. Yeah, that's actually how it works. So, this one girl in one of the third floor apartments saw this actually happen. Now, here's the funny thing about it. I know, I've had people telling me about it, and I actually have seen I didn't actually watch the video, but I saw the video itself being posted. Somebody says this is the most SJW book ever. Yeah, well, let's just say at least it's a comic book that can actually go out in a regular publisher. Oh, hope that wasn't too much of a burn. Look, we're all adults here, and if we can't take jokes, then it is what it is. But calling it the most SJW book ever is cute. And that's literally all it is. I just heard this is actually, this has been optioned to become a TV series or a movie. And that says an awful lot. That says an awful lot. You can call it the most SJW book ever if you're on one side and you're incapable of seeing another side. Look, I wish that this company would actually pay me to defend the book. You know what I'm saying? Forget about it. But they don't. So I'm simply going to put it out this way. I see people on the far left, or just at least on the left, all right? Far left, I'm going to call those, like, you know, the crazy guys like to hurt people. No, on the left, and they see this as a left-wing book pushing a good agenda. On the right, they see this as a far left book pushing a social justice warrior agenda. I don't see any of it. What I see is actual human beings, okay? You get to see the woman, who, Leslie, who'd seen, this black guy come up, and it's like, oh, I'm a little bit scared. Hold on to my purse. And then afterwards, she feels sorry about it afterwards. That part was actually mentioned at the end of the book. I love reading the letter section of these books. They're great. But on top of that, like, you get to see the girl Medina. You remember Medina? She's the black friend, got the name of the city of, like where Islam really expanded. I know, like, Mecca is the center, but where it actually expanded from, the seat of the caliphate, was actually in Medina. Anyway, so she's got this name. I don't know if she actually is Muslim or not, but boom, she's got this Arabic name, and she's talking to the girl from 3A, and she's calling her a racist. She's, like, blatantly calling her a racist. She's about to deck her in her face. She's screaming at her in her own apartment, and she got in there under less than nefarious methods, but still, they were pretty shady. She went there acting like, oh, I'm just a friend or whatever. Hey, oh, as it turns out, I'm actually best friends with Aisha. Yeah, the Muslim girl, you're calling her racist because she's brown skin and blah, 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 blah. No. This other girl, this white girl, all right, is sitting here explaining her side. She's like, listen, I lived, like, right next to the guy who blew up the freaking place. If I lived in that apartment right over there across the thing, I would have died because I would have been right under the guy. You know what I'm saying? The guy who lived there actually died because of the explosion. So, no, I don't want to hear that stuff. And I'm still willing to give people chances. Anybody a chance. And I didn't try and make this into a Muslim thing or not. What happened was I came home and I actually saw her scream, yell out no, and push them both to the bottom of the stairs. That sounds SJW? No. She's not. She doesn't sound like a racist. She may have some racism in her. It can be argued that every single person on this planet has some level of racism in them. Literally, like Leslie. You walk into a restaurant and you see a black guy, in there, and you're right away like, you pause, but then you keep walking. That was still racism that paused you. A black person who thinks that every white person is racist. That's also racism. It's all racism. Okay, we all have something in us that shouldn't be there, that in many ways isn't our fault. So that's all the defending I'm going to do. But I can't help but to notice all the cool parts that are in this comic book. It's so fair. One of their best friends, this group, this clique that hangs out with each other, the one girl turns around and she actually does go what seems like full-blown racist. She's like, How did she get pulled outside? Like, did she get pulled outside? Did she walk outside? How come she wasn't there? How come she didn't call the police? How come this, and this? I believe that she fully did this stuff. So, of course, everybody else turns around and says, oh, she must be racist. Not everybody, but enough. Enough people say, oh, she must be racist. You know what I'm saying? But there's great points there. There's actually a point that I'd made that I haven't made in forever, but I've made it before. It's like, listen, let me get this straight. So this person isn't interested in black people until all of a sudden, what do you call it? You are interested in this black person. It's not about being interested. If you're interested in black people, that's a fad. How are you going to find the love of your life if you're just looking for a fad? No, there's nothing like that. Oh, I only like blondes. It's a fad. It's silly. You know what I'm saying? It's silly. It's youth. That's what that is. You know what I'm saying? But finding someone you actually love and want to be with, that kind of transcends bounds. Now, there are people who are just like, I won't date a this color person, a that color person, a that color haired person, whatever. Yes, that's you got your own biases and whatnot, and you probably need to seek therapy about that. Go talk to Dr. Phil. I don't recommend talking to Dr. Phil and making a joke. But the idea is that, yes, those things exist. But when you're talking about something like this fantastic comic book that really gets to the heart of things, where here's this girl who's just looking at the evidence and she says, no, I'm not interested in what you guys are saying. I believe that she actually did do this. Right away, there's the SJWs who turn around and say, wait a second, you're just saying that because she's Muslim. She's the one girl to Medina turns around and says to the one white girl, oh, she's Muslim? Well, you mean the Pakistani girl from Jersey? Yeah. Now she can't be a Muslim. Now you don't want her in a group. And then over here, you're ready to say, oh, she's just upset because she's Muslims. So now you're going to put her in it. She said something about an individual. But you're going to go around and turn around and say, oh, she's saying it because she's in this group. None of that happened. None of that happened. But these are characters who are made to be misrepresented. Maybe this girl is racist, but she didn't say anything that was racist. Oh, she said you people. Oh, my God. She actually said you people? She said words in the English language? That's ridiculous. Who would say something like that? Look, you do see a lot of SJW stuff in here, and those are clearly the people who are wrong. But you're also seeing some potentially right-wing stuff here, and those are also the people who are wrong if it's too far to the right. The idea is to find somewhere in the balance. Mind you, balance doesn't mean all the way in the middle. That's like somebody saying, hey, I want to kill people with green eyes, and somebody else saying, well, you know what? No, you should never kill people. Don't just kill people because they have green eyes. Don't go and kill people. So what's balanced in there? What's center in there? Turn around saying, well, you can hurt people with green eyes, but don't actually kill people with green eyes. Is that the center you want to be? No. Balanced means you look at something that's reasonable. You don't just turn around and say, I'm going to take whatever this guy says and that guy says and find some place in between. No, you take what's sensible. In this case, what's sensible is what the person who says don't kill people says. So no, people just don't understand these things. A lot of these people are usually young. And you know what's great about it? Pretty much everybody in this comic book is young also. And that's awesome. This is a really great comic book that will talk about social issues. You will see the pros and cons of SJW. You will see the pros and cons, not as much, but I wish they would show more, of the far-leaning right. The idea is that you're seeing different versions of understanding. And I love that. The one guy, Tom, goes and says, dude, I was never into black women until I met Aisha. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, was it actually Tom who said that? I don't remember who said that, but somebody goes and said that. Maybe they were talking about Medina. Either way, the idea is I wasn't interested until I met this person, because I'm not looking for someone based on their color. I'm looking for someone based on what I'm interested in, the personality, the traits, the common, investments, whatever, things that they have in common. You know what I'm saying? Ideals and ideas for a future. So that's one thing. The guy goes and says, if I'm a homosexual, I'm not into straight people, does that make me a misogynist? It's funny that they look at so many different versions of different opinions. It's great. It's amazing. This book genuinely has everything you're looking for. Oh, did I mention the art? Yeah, the art's kind of cool too. I love that. At first, you didn't necessarily know if this was a demon or not, or if this was just somebody's, maybe there's something here, maybe there's not. But now we're kind of leaning towards the idea that it must be a demon because other people are seeing it too. I remember Leslie saw something in the knife in the previous issue. And here, some other people are walking and they're seeing things also. Before, it was really only Aisha who was seeing things. So there's so much in this comic book. This has something for everybody. If you're a free thinker, if you're just going to hear some other guy on YouTube who wants to sit there and point out, well, then welcome to being brain dead and not actually having the freedom of thought to understand that there's a much broader picture here. Nobody's drawing with straight lines, and that includes the art. There are no straight lines in this comic book, and I'm talking figuratively or literally. Maybe literally. The panels are kind of straight, but regardless, there are no straight lines. It's all broad strokes, and you're seeing a lot of different styles, and it's great. This is a great comic book. I can't wait to see that movie. I really do hope it does come forth and become a movie, because that's awesome. You know what else I'd like to see? I'd like to see Professor Bill quoted as saying that this is one of the coolest non-Big Two comic books that I've ever read in my life. I'm almost 43, by the way. So that's not like I'm a 20-year-old saying, I've never seen something like that in my life. You know, say, no. I'm older now, all right? And this is one of the coolest comic series that I've read in my life. I love this because they're not afraid to touch the issues, and they're not just doing some generic explanation of an issue. No, they're actually digging deep into the issues where you're starting to look, and you can, if you're intelligent enough, you can look at this. If you're sensible enough, you can see this, read this, and say, these are the guys who are a little bit more right than these guys. But you show me one character in here that's completely right, and I'll show you that you haven't been reading this comic book. Every character in this, that includes Aisha, gets things wrong. And man, if that's not a good comic book, if that's not what we've all been asking for in the first place, I don't know what is. This is, did I give it a grade? I'm going to give this my pick of the week. It's like that. So it's an automatic A+. Does it necessarily deserve an A+? I don't know, because there's too much question here. But either way, I'm really glad that this was optioned. I don't know if it was actually picked up or not, but this was optioned at the very least to become a movie. It deserves it, or a TV show. It deserves it. I will watch the heck out of it. This is a great comic book, and however good it was in the previous two issues, this issue, oh man, it picked up. This is fantastic. Actually having real life human being conversations where people are angry at each other for the way that they think. And this really feels like I'm reading a bunch of things, not just on Facebook and social media conversations, but I'm reading things that are actually happening in person, in real life. Like, I just walked around the corner and these people are having these arguments. And I'm just like, wow, you're both idiots. That's what I love about this. This is a fantastic comic book. Quote me, please. Anyway, I'm done. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.